I think I found the best town in Brazil. It's charming, organized, safe, calm, and affordable. And the name of the town is Dois Irmaos, and it's located in the Serra Gaúcha, which is the mountain region in the state of Rio Grande do Sul in the south of Brazil. And it has a population of about 30,000 inhabitants, and has a very strong German culture from all the German immigrants that arrived in the 1800s. And actually you can still hear German being spoken as you walk around the town. And I think the town and the surrounding area is really beautiful. So the town is surrounded by forest-covered mountains. So I drove up to one of the viewpoints high above the town, and here you can see the town of Dois Irmaos behind me and the mountains surrounding it. And then in the town you've got a nice mix of old and new buildings. Some of them are in a half-timbered Tudor style, and then also you have lots of churches. And I mean a lot of churches. And then there are two main parks in the town. The first one is called Praça do Imigrante, which is a really well-maintained little park. You've got a small pond, big playground area for the kids. And right next to the park you have this covered area with a roof. And here they hold various fairs and events. I know at Christmas time the town invests a lot of money in decorating the whole city. And this area here has lots of stalls selling Christmas things, and they have some shows as well. So yeah, the Christmas celebrations in this town are pretty big. And then the other big park is Parque Municipal Romeu Benicio Wolf. And this park is a bit bigger. At the weekends this park becomes really busy. So families come here, kids cycle around the park, play in the playground, and others have picnics and just come here to enjoy the park. And actually this park has a river running through it and a small waterfall, which you can see here. But I'm pretty sure the water is not that clean though. And in terms of the commerce, so this is the main high street of the town. You can see it's got cobbled streets, lots of shops and restaurants. In general, the storefronts are well maintained. It's clean and organized. In terms of the stores, you've got the usual ones. Lots of clothing stores, electronics, furniture, arts and crafts, supermarkets, and as usual, lots and lots of pharmacies. This thing straight ahead here is a movable stage. So most of the time it's raised like it is now, so cars can drive on the road. But then when they have events, then they lower down the stage and they can have shows on it. And in terms of the restaurants, so you have lots of these traditional German restaurants. The most famous ones are Bierplatz, Restaurante Tiradores, and also Restaurante Santa Cecilia. And these offer buffets at lunchtime, serving a mix of Brazilian and German food. And then you have lots of other restaurants. So you have quite a few Japanese sushi restaurants. So Brazilians eat a lot of sushi, and lots of burger, pizza, and barbecue restaurants. And then this region also has lots of small breweries as well. In Dois Irmaos, the most famous ones is Hunsrück, which is located just outside the city. And they make various beers, ales, lagers. And the ones I really like are the tangerine and passion fruit beers. I think they're really good. And then outside the brewery they have a big seating area, and this gets very busy at the weekends. So people come here to enjoy their beer, and they also serve food. So this town has quite a lot of stores and restaurants and so on. It doesn't have a shopping mall. All I could find was this small one here, which is pretty tiny. It doesn't have a cinema and more specialized stores and restaurants selling other cuisine like Thai, Arab, and so on. Then you have to go to the nearby cities. So you got Novo Hamburgo, which is about a 30-minute drive, and then you have Porto Alegre, which is about an hour's drive away. And in terms of the climate, I think it has a really nice climate. So I think it's classified as subtropical. It has lots of days of sunshine. Summer it can get up to about 35 degrees Celsius, which is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And winter it can fall down to 0 degrees or -1, -2 degrees Celsius, which is 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But these cold winters are pretty short, and most of the time it's nice and warm. But one thing to mention is that here in the south of Brazil, you can have some periods of very heavy rain, which can cause some problems. So 2 years ago, there was some really heavy rain, which caused some big flooding problems in the state. And this town does have a river that runs through part of it, but most of the town is located well above this river. So when you had this heavy rain, Dois Irmaos wasn't affected badly in terms of flooding. There were some localized landslides, and some roads were blocked because of this landslide. But the town has invested quite a lot in trying to make sure that these landslides don't happen again. And then in terms of the economy of the town, so the town has quite a big manufacturing industry. So one of the big companies in the town is Erval, And they manufacture furniture and mattresses, and they're a big employer in the town. They also have some big shoe manufacturers. So you've got Pegada, Worth, Flex, and they have some big factories in the town. And then the other big sector in the economy is tourism as well. So the town invests a lot in events and fairs, like I said before, especially at Christmas and Easter, and people from all around the region travel to Dois Irmaos for these events and fairs, and this brings a lot of money into the economy. I mean, Dois Irmaos is nothing compared to the big tourist towns like Gramado and Canela. I mean, those towns are totally focused on tourism and are just full of hotels and attractions. Now, Dois Irmaos is not like that. I mean, they've got a couple of hotels and some touristy attractions, but for Dois Irmaos, it's more the specific events that they hold which attracts people. So in terms of job opportunities in the town, so they're a bit limited, especially if you're looking for a high-paid office job. Most people who have jobs like that, they live in the town, but then they travel to the biggest cities like Novo Hamburgo, Porto Alegre, Caxias, where the job opportunities are a lot better. And in terms of the infrastructure of the town, so overall I think this is pretty good. So the town has its own hospital with an accident and emergency ward, and the service is okay. The hospital's a bit run down, it could do with a bit more investment. But then the town also has some private doctor surgeries as well. So this one here is Dr. Klin, which is one of the private health insurance companies in the region. And so if you're planning to move to this town, I would definitely recommend that you have private health insurance, and that'll give you a lot more freedom in terms of being able to use the private and the public. And obviously, if it's something more serious, you want to do a surgery, see a specialist, then you're going to have to travel to the hospitals in the nearby cities. In terms of schools, so public schools in Dois Irmaos are said to be pretty good, but the town also has a private school as well, which is this one here, which is quite big and people say is very good. And in terms of the roads in the town, they're pretty good. So it's kind of a mix between asphalt and these kind of rocky cobbled streets. And then the bigger roads leading out of the town, they're also well maintained and in a good state. So overall, I was pretty impressed by the infrastructure here. I mean, the only negative I would say is that the sewage treatment of the town is not very developed. And you can see in the river that runs through the town, which is pretty polluted. So that's definitely one thing that the town needs to invest more in, which they slowly are doing. And in terms of crime and policing, so overall I think the policing is pretty effective in the town. So when I was walking around the town, I was constantly seeing police driving around. Also, they have lots of cameras in the town as well. So I mean, I felt very safe walking around. And I did a quick search on Google just to see what crime there was in the town. What mainly comes up is some home burglaries and also drug offences. Overall, the level of crime is very low here. And in terms of the cost of living, so this is relatively low compared to other cities and towns in the state. So in terms of supermarket prices, eating out and so on, prices here are lower compared to the big cities like Porto Alegre, and also compared to some of the other towns close by, like Gramado Canela. Dois Irmaos is definitely cheaper. And if we look at property prices here are lower than Porto Alegre and Gramado Canela. So let's have a look at buying a property first. So you can buy a small house for between 300 and 400,000 reais. So you've got one here, for example. This one is 65 square meters, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and the price is 350,000 reais, which is $68,000. And you can get a small apartment for a similar price as well. So you've got one here. So this one is 58 square meters, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 310,000 reais, which is $61,000. And then if you want a bigger house or apartment, so we've got a bigger house here. This one is 111 square meters, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 549,000 reais, which is $108,000. So that's a bit bigger, and also it's a new build. And then if you want a bigger apartment, so you've got bigger apartments here. So this is 86 square meters, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 590,000 reais, which is $116,000. And then finally, if you want a really big house or apartment, you've got those as well. So you've got a big house here, which is 250 square meters, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and that is 1.8 million reais, which is $370,000. So you've got a whole range of properties for sale. And then if we look at rent, so here again, you've got houses and apartments for rent. So you've got a small house here, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. 70 square meters, and that costs 1,500 reais per month, which is $300 per month. And then you got a small apartment, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 57 square meters, 1,700 reais per month, which is $340 per month. And then you've got bigger houses. You've got this one here, which is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 90 square meters, 2,200 reais per month, which is $440 per month. And then you've got bigger apartments as well. So you've got this one, which is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 75 square meters, and that is 2,000 reais per month, which is 400 reais per month. So again, you've got a variety of properties for rent, ranging from $300 and upwards. Okay, so that was Dois Irmaos. I think it's a great little town. It's charming, it's organized, it's safe, calm, and pretty affordable compared to other towns and cities in the region. I would say the only real drawback is the fact that the job opportunities aren't that great. So if you're considering moving here, but you need to find a job, then chances are you're going to have to commute to one of the biggest cities nearby. So I hope you liked this video. Please leave a like, subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave it in the comment section below. So thanks for watching. Until next time.